Good morning, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why the economy sucks, or more specifically, why your economy sucks. This is something that we have been discussing for quite some time here on this channel, is the Cantillon Effect and what happens when new money pours into the system. And now what a lot of people don't recognize is that when new money pours into the system, what that ends up doing is separating the rich from the poor, right? It creates a bigger wedge in the inequality that is taking place. Now, it's easy to understand if you go and you read Cantillon's essay on economic theory, talking about the increase and decrease of money to the state. So if you go and read the 3 chapters, right, from Cantillon's essay, Increase and Decrease of Money to the State, and the further reflections upon that topic, you're going to see that as the new money pours through the system, and what ends up taking place is that there is a rise in the industriousness of the people. They become producers and savers. They increase their standard of living, and then the move into luxuries begins, right? So this happens as new money continues to pour in. The new money pouring in and separating the poor, or the rich from the poor, happens when that new money is going into luxuries, right? So as people are acquiring the new money and they're moving into luxuries, what they are doing is they are driving out the domestic manufacturing and driving in ever increasing amounts of foreign production. The people who are earning living wages are getting pushed further and further away from the ability to have the standard of living, right? So their wages no longer are enough to keep up with, rents and food and energy costs and transportation and all the stuff that goes with it. And this is how that wedge keeps getting bigger and bigger. So when you find that people say, well, back in the day, I had a job that would, provide me with an apartment and a car payment, and we had things that were going on. Today, that same job can't do it, and I have to live in my car, right? And no longer have the ability to have what would like be somewhat of a normal life with an apartment and a car and, all the other stuff that goes with it. So what ends up happening is a lot of people don't recognize why it's taking place. They want to blame government, they want to blame greed, they want to blame all this stuff that's happening out there, but they don't necessarily recognize it for the economic forces that are truly taking place. Now, let me play this video for you. I got this from I don't know, I think it was off of YouTube Shorts or something like that. I think it was originally a TikTok video, but let me see if I can find it here real quick. Okay. Let me turn it up here. Oops.
Okay.
I'm doing a terrible job. Oh, this is my boy's phones here, so I'm having a hard time. How come I can't turn it up? What's going on here? Oh, oh, bummer. Yeah, it's not working. I can't get the volume up. Wow, what a terrible video. I should get Freddie out here real quick to help me out with it because his phone is not cooperating with me. Anyway, what a bummer. I left a link down in the description to it anyway, so you guys can go check it out down there. Maybe I can get my phone to work here in just a second. But ultimately, what she is describing in this video is she's going around Silicon Valley and she's looking at apartment complexes that essentially are empty, but I doubt they're as empty as she's wanting them to be or thinking that they are. Here we go.
Really luxury.
There we go.
I want to show you guys something. I live in my car, right? Let me show you the situation. All right, I live in Silicon Valley, right? And let me show you just a street that I'm walking on. Luxury apartments, right? Condominium type, really luxury style. These are like 30 to 40% full because companies like Essex, Prometheus, things like that. They're going around telling their investors that people can afford 4, 5, 6 grand a month for apartments. And you know what people are doing? They said no. They said no. I'm not paying that. Absolutely not. I want to show you guys something.
So right there, like, she recognizes, she sees the problem, right? She recognizes it straight up. I can't afford this, right? All these people out here are saying, no, we're not going to go rent those things. And it's the greed of the investors who are saying that these people can afford it when they really can't afford it. And I'm looking at this video and I'm thinking, you're almost there. Right? You're almost there. You see a lot of the problems, you see the symptoms, you recognize it, but the blame is in the wrong direction. See, the problem is that you're in the wrong time. See, there was a time in which your job could have bought that apartment. Right? There was a time in this country. See, that was back during the 50s, 60s, 70s, well, maybe not so much, but going into the 70s and even somewhat of the 80s, right? But after that, it wasn't as easy to do that. And it's because of the Cantillon Effect. It's not because of greed. Greed is a symptom of that, right? It's not the cause. And so when you recognize why it is that it's truly taken place, when you can see it plainly that it's the new money, I mean, think about it, it's Silicon Valley, right? Silicon Valley, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, LA, any place, New York, any place that you have new money, you're going to have a separation between the rich and the poor. They were great cities. What's going on? They, back in the day, they were some of the most beautiful cities and everybody loved it and everybody wanted to be there. What's going on now? It's because, right, as time went on and the new money separated the rich from the poor, it made it very difficult to be there. And now having a normal, even a good job sucks. Right? That doesn't work anymore. And so you have to come up with ever increasing amounts of money to just have a normal life, or what it appeared to be a normal life back in the day. But it's not because of greed and manipulation and desire of government to put their force upon you. Right? That's not what's going on here. What's going on is that as time has happened, we have had new money continue to pour into the system, and it's now separating the rich from the poor in a dramatic fashion. That's what's really happening. Understand it for what it is. You'll know that if you can understand it from this direction, that there's nobody out there who's going to stop it. Right? Who can stop it from occurring? I mean, you can stop the new money from pouring in. You know what that's going to look like? Everybody sits there in pain and misery and poverty if you don't have that new money pouring in. The United States doesn't produce enough to maintain a standard of living like we'd have. So everybody would have to lessen their standard of living, and in such a dramatic fashion, the pain from it, the painful experience of it would just not, it would be like political suicide to try and attempt to do something like it. It ain't going to happen. What we can expect is that there is going to be ever increasing amounts of expansion of money supply. Right? Right now we are in quantitative tightening, true, but give it the next monetary crisis and they will, fire it back up again and expand on it. It's just like that's just a matter of time. And as that takes place and the new money fires back up again and pours in, you're going to have ever increasing amounts of separation between the rich and the poor. And people are going to be like, hey, man, this is unfair. The system is set up incorrectly. And it's like, it's not set up. It evolved into this. We had an opportunity to say, no, we're not going to do it. But nobody said that. Everybody says, yeah, government, do something about it. And the government's like, okay, we'll do something about it. Right? And in turn, what ended up happening is they make the problem worse, and then they make it too big to fail. And now it's such a problem that there's no way of ever exiting out of it. The situation that this young girl is facing down in Silicon, that is going to get worse. That is going to get worse. Yeah. See, this is what I find humorous about it. It was just like, these places couldn't possibly be sitting 30 to 40% occupied. And if that was the case, they'd be going bankrupt. Now, I'm not saying that some of the buildings or a building or, a handful of buildings, or there's places that don't have that occurring. What I am saying is that if that was the general case against all these buildings, they would be going bankrupt. Property owners don't get together and say, hey, You and me, we're the property owners, and we're going to rent our stuff for an incredibly high price. And you know what? We're going to screw all the tenants out there by making them pay a high price. How does that sound? Doesn't that sound good? You and me, all the rest of the landlords doing it. And I'd be like, yeah, sounds good, man. I'll do it. I'll do it with you, man. I'll raise all those rents, all right? And after everybody raises their rents, I guarantee you I would be the number one dude who had my rents just slightly under everybody else's. And they would too, and then they would, and they would, and they would, until we eventually found our bottom. We would be like, that's it, we're not going any lower than this. This is as low as we can go, because after this, we start going underwater on our investments, right? And that's not going to happen. So understanding it from that fashion, that there is not a bunch of people out there who are greed and manipulating and pushing the system so that you can pay higher rents and live out in your car, because that's the way they get your money, is by you living in your car, right? I mean, right? That doesn't make any sense, but understand that the Cantillon Effect is now running rampant through this economy, and it's separating the rich from the poor, and that's why even your good job sucks now, and it's not going to reverse until there is a complete collapse of the system, which I don't see taking place. Jesus, I'm spilling my coffee. All right, what do we got here, guys? I forget what the name of the company was. All right, how do we protect from the Cantillon Effect? Is it education control so that human nature does not take over and we can create a perfect society? Is the answer unlimited energy for everyone? M. Ryder, I wouldn't take the time. Excuse me. I wouldn't take the time to try and figure out a solution to a problem that has been cycling through since the creation of the human race. You got to think, the economies have been, the issues with an economy and the underlying economic forces have existed ever since the human existence, right? That's how long it's been going on. And if there's an ability to change those economic forces, I'm sure that humans probably would have figured that out by now, right? Or at least come up with a decent concept for it. If you think about it, like, each individual person is their own economy and how they operate. You may have new money pouring in. As you have new money pouring in, what you do with it may be different than what your neighbors do with it. Say you have a twin brother, you both get jobs at the sawmill, you both getting hired on as, doing the same thing. Your brother is, and just hypothetically speaking, right? Good, hardcore Christian dude, saves his money, plan on having a family, all the other stuff that goes with it. I'm not trying to say anything in particular, just saying that's the kind of direction that one's moving. You like to hang out with your friends, chase girls, drink, hang out at the bars, do stuff like that. You're going down a different path. Now, when you think about what your economy is looking like at that exact moment, you're both getting the same amount of income. You're both the same age, same opportunity, standing in the same place. But what you are doing with your money is completely different. One of them has intention to have family and goals and future, and the other one's just like enjoyment and hanging out and living life and doing all that other stuff. Those two economies do not appear to be the same thing. This one might be driving new cars. This one might be taking the bus. Right? Totally different economies happening there. And so understanding this is really the situation, is that each and every single person lives their own economy in conjunction with everybody else who is living their own economy. And generally speaking, there is the broader economy as far as how everybody is interacting within it, but each individual person has their own individual economy to deal with. Some people might be prospering at the next person is doing terrible, right? So this person says, I don't know where you guys are coming off that it's a bad economy. I mean, my economy is kicking ass. Your economy sucks, but your economy is bad and my economy is good, but yet we're still here standing in the same place having this discussion. So really, what is it? It's your own economy. It's the meaning that you've given it and the position that you have taken. And that's really really important to understand, because when you are asking like, what can we do about the Cantillon effect? Recognize it. That's what you can do, right? Be able to internalize the economic forces that are happening out there, understand why it's taking place, and then position yourself in accordance to the strategies that you need for your goals and your outcomes, right? I mean, this is your game, not mine, right? Or anybody else's out there. So there's nothing collectively we can do. Like, if you want to try and create a situation in which that people don't dive into luxuries, and that there's no or limited amount of foreign production coming in, and everybody lives off of the standard of living that the domestic manufacturing can create, then I'm thinking you're probably moving towards a communistic nation. Just saying. I mean, you want a perfect society, right? I mean, you're going to have some serious control over the people and their behaviors. And that doesn't go over very well for most people, because, when they work hard and they have a good idea and it's unique and it's specialized and they can profit from it, that's what they want to do. And if you tell them, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that, because if you do, you're going to destroy the rest of the people's economies out there, I would have to say, you know what, I'm going to go to America. I'm going to go to the United States, where I can actually do what it is that I need to do to prosper in a way that is not limited by, government rules saying that if you continue on this path, you're going to destroy the rest of the economy out there. Right? That's like, do you see what's happened here? It's like, you can't, I'd imagine that this is probably one of the biggest reasons why you see a rise of socialist and communistic nations, is because once people start moving into the luxurious items, they start bringing in the foreign production and they start driving out domestic manufacturing. And that right there pisses people off massively, right? I mean, big time. The domestic manufacturing jobs is what, like, the heart of America, right? I mean, everybody wants, but you can't have that if you have new money pouring in. It's just not going to be that way. All right, moving on here. Let's go check it out. We got another member to the channel, Nico Jean. All right, thank you so much for joining the channel. We did an excellent live stream yesterday on the members only live stream, talking about Christopher Waller's speech on getting closer. And this is so funny about it, because we reviewed the speech and then found and recognized where it is in that speech that he found the most likely outcome that he is seeing. And he said straight up that cutting too early would be a grave mistake, while holding off on rate cuts might be a painful experience, like job losses and a slowdown in the economy or something like that, risk of a recession and jobs. But cutting too early could be a grave mistake, is what he said in that speech. And that's something that we broke down and talked about the entire speech. It was a great one. I mean, people really enjoyed that video. It was good. 2 hours long, but really it was the first probably, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes of the video that I think was pretty much the bulk of the information, and the rest of it we were just having a discussion about it. Simon, hypothetically, if we found a way to create free resources, say a technology which created energy from nothing, would there be any way to provide for everyone without creating problems? Okay, well, no, I don't think there is. And here's the reason why. Just take it back. Just take it back to the most primitive form of the economy. And what I like to take it back to, and it's pretty much because Cantillon described it, was the Native Americans here in the United States, before any settlement or anything else had taken place. Like, each human who lived in the United States, or in the Americas at the time, right, over here in North America, essentially needed like 50 to 100 acres per person to live, right? Because they had to live off the land. They didn't cultivate, they didn't produce, they didn't do anything like that. They were just basically another part of the nature, and that's how they lived. So expansion of the human population couldn't really go beyond that of what the land could provide for them, because they couldn't produce anything more than what it was that the land was going to do. So it was just like, that's it. How much can this land support? And this is all the humans are going to be there. So when the human population increased, you get mad. Right? And they're like, there's not enough land for all of us here because there's too many people. And we're going to have some serious bloody battles over hunting grounds because that's essentially the economy, the ability to eat. And if there's too many people and not enough land, there's going to be some fighting going on. And so you think about it, that is the essence of an economy, right? You think about all the wars that take place out there, all the issues, all the stuff, it really comes down to land, food, and survival. So let's start throwing in the, let's start fixing the problem. Let's start fixing the problem, right? So here we have this issue, not enough land for as many people are here, and we're going to have to kill each other in order to survive. Let's plant some food, right? Let's figure out to cultivate. Then we can have plenty of food and we don't have to fight each other anymore. Except that you're going to end up increasing the population to the level in which that you can cultivate the land to, and after you have cultivated the land to the extent that you can to provide for the population you have, the battlings begin. Because now you have so many people out there and it's all this production, now you have to have governance. So is the problem increasing or is the problem being relieved? You see? Well, now you got governance in there, and government doesn't do anything, right? Except for screw things up. So now you have even more issues that start to come as governance says you need to behave this way and you need to behave that way, and all the other issues that come from that. And people start cheating the systems and all the other stuff. So to me, no, there is no way, no matter what you do, can you fix the system. What you need to do is fix it. What it is you need to fix your ability to operate within the system, to recognize what it is that's taking place out there. I'm not saying you shouldn't vote for the right direction, or at least try and make some effort to try and create an environment in which that is that of which that you want to see. I mean, I'm thinking that is still the case. You still want to do that, but to understand that fixing the system doesn't happen. You can't fix it. There's nothing you can do to change or make better the underlying economic forces that's going to separate the classes, create the issues, the frustrations, and everything that comes with it. That's why it's so important for you to figure it out for yourself. Let's choose down here for a little bit. All right, preach, brother, no fixing capitalism. It's not capitalism. See, that's the problem. See, you just blamed it on capitalism. And there again is it, and I'm just being honest with you, you face the same issues that everybody else is facing too, because now your world is problematic due to capitalism that doesn't really even exist, right? So you see this world out there and you're like, that's the problem with capitalism. That's the problem with capitalism. That's the problem with capitalism. And that's the reason why I don't have an existence that is now flourishing in this environment, because I'm blaming capitalism for it. And subconsciously, I'm going to do things that then confirm my bias and prove me right. And therefore, I will fail. And that's what will happen, right? Don't blame capital. Don't blame anything, right? Don't blame anything. It is, right? Besides, capitalism means you rise and fall on your own merit. Too big to fail proves capitalism doesn't exist. So we don't need to argue that anymore. Capitalism is out the window. That's not part of our system. If it was, we wouldn't be here today. Okay, so understand that much. Anytime you ever have a too big to fail, stimulus packages, quantitative easing, capitalism is out the window. It doesn't work, and it was no longer there. Capitalism was trying to make those too big to fails fail. See, capitalism was fixing the problem, but the problem is that people stepped up and said, "Oh, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that." Right? We got to save these banks. We got to save these corporations. We got to save everybody's jobs. So I'm sorry, capitalism, you can't function. You can't go to work and do what it is that you need to do in order to fix the problems that we see out there. We're going to stop that from happening, and we're going to interject in money and effort and time and energy and all this other stuff, which is non-capitalistic. That's very much more socialistic and communistic, right? In order to save the system, because we don't want to fail, do we? I mean, and capitalism was like, yes, you do want to fail. That's how we get the most efficient products and time and effort and energy out of the economy, is by letting things fail. It's very important. I mean, otherwise you can you just what happened here. You will blame capitalism and subconsciously make decisions that will then hurt yourself in order to prove yourself right. Right? To confirm your own bias. It will. It's a psychological thing. Look it up. All right. Not capitalism, human nature. Top-down autocratic systems like China have similar top-down problems due simply to our nature. Okay. And it's again, this is like, how is it like uh, the country should have failed a long time ago when everybody was asking for their gold back. That would have been the capitalistic thing to do, was to let the economy fail. Right? And then we have to reestablish ourselves as an efficient producer again, taking the hit, right? Figuring out how to live off of less, less necessities, less luxuries, all the things that, make your life great. If you could do that, then you could become competitive again, and then you can compete on the world scale for production and bringing in that new money, that gold. But once you got to a point where you raised your standard of living, it's too painful of an experience to try and move the other way. Nobody wants to go through that, so they don't. They're just like, do anything you can in order to save the system. And that was just like, okay, that's severing the gold standard and printing up a bunch of fiat currency. How does that sound? It's like, well, as long as I get to drive my car every day, I mean, I don't know. It's like, and so that's like, because I used to look at things when I was really into politics. I used to look at like ways that you could fix the system. Like, how do you make it so that it's fair and unique and good and all the other stuff for everybody, so that everybody can prosper and do all that. And I realized that's not possible. That's not like a thing, right? So instead of putting my thoughts and my energy in how that I could figure out an environment that everybody could, like, be successful and rewarded and live a good life and be fed and have medical and all that other stuff, I realized it's not up to me to have them have that in their life. Right? That's not my job. That's not my job to try and figure that part out. My job is to figure out how I get that for myself and my family. Outside of that, it's not my job to try and figure out how to do it for everybody else. Right? I got to look at the world, see what it is I need to do, know that I can't do it the traditional fashion in which I once did, right? Going to have the 9 to 5 job and hanging out on the weekends, barbecuing and doing all that other stuff. That's not going to work anymore. You can't do it like that. I look at what my parents did. That's what they did. It seemed like that's what everybody was doing around there. I look and see if anybody's doing that today. It doesn't seem to be. So, okay, we got to do something different nowadays. And understanding that it's not something that we say, hey, we're going to come out on TV and we're going to come out on these movies and we're going to come out in these songs and we're going to come out in public education and we're going to change the way that everybody views the economy so that the Cantillon Effect doesn't take place. How many rappers are you going to see out there not showing off their gold chains, not showing off the vehicles, not showing off the mansions, not flashing the cash, not showing the women, right? I mean, like, all that stuff. Like, that's the stuff that separates the rich from the poor. It's that move into luxurious items. It's that continuous pouring of new money in. And now I'm not trying to say that's a problem, because it's not a problem. It's just human nature. It's just what they do. Right? They are going to enjoy it if they got it. And that's not something that you can blame people for. So I don't blame them for it. I just recognize that's going to take place. And if we have a system in which that ever increasing amounts of new money is pouring into the system, I can guarantee myself that I am going to view inequality continue to grow. Now, whether or not that I get mad about it or try to convince other people that they need to vote for somebody that's going to make that different, like they can, it's like, my mind doesn't work like that. My mind thinks about other things, like how to come up with the next video or just whatever. But I don't think about like how to fix it. Let's see here. cruising on down. We're a half hour into this video with 228 people watching and 99 likes. With 228 people watching, we should have this up to at least 150 likes right now. Go hit that like button. We'll get it up to 150 likes, and we'll continue on the live stream for, a little while longer. I'll give you 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes to go hit the like button. I like Vance more than Trump, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, the thing is like, no matter what they do, they're going to have a policy, they're going to have an idea, they're going to have a budget, they're going to have all the other stuff that's occupied, that's using a central bank digital, a central bank digital, there probably will be, but a central banking system that then is like unconstitutional. It's not like even supposed to be legal or within it, and so they operate in an unconstitutional fashion that then continues to separate the rich and the poor. And they say, hey, we're going to do stuff that's going to be benefiting you, we're going to make America great again, but watch this. Here's this. Oh, sorry, there was going to be some separation between the rich and the poor at the same time, but isn't your life so much better? I mean, there was this huge wedge driving that went on, but I mean, your life is good though. Right? Just accept it. Just accept the fact that you're a debt slave, and that, this president is going to make you feel better about your slavery. Just understand it in that fashion, because that's the truth of it. Like, that's the way I've accepted it. And it was just like, yeah, we are all debt slaves. There is no doubt in my mind that every time I go to work and get a W-2 and pay my taxes, I am a debt slave. No doubt about it. Right? I mean, anybody who looks at it any other way is wrong. It's just wrong. It's not a matter of being like, the facts or whatever. We live in a debt-based slavery system, and that's it. And know that you are a slave. Sometimes you're a good slave. Sometimes you're a slave that gets a lot of rewards for it, But ultimately, every single person who is paying taxes, living in debt, using credit cards, paying W-2s, getting a 1099, all that stuff, every last one of you is a debt slave. Period. And every single president who comes out and says, hey man, I'm going to do stuff for you, and I'm going to make it, awesome, and make this, an awesome place for you, just thinking, okay, you good little debt slave, I'm going to make it good for you. Yep, good little debt slave, you just be good down there, okay? We're going to make it good for you. Don't worry, you're going to have a good life. That's the way I feel when they speak. It's just like I feel insulted every time they come out there on the TV, and every time I hear something, I'm like, man, I feel a little less respect for you guys. I should stop listening, because every time I do, it just deteriorates. You just ratchet every time. It just ratchets just a little bit further down, So I just stop listening, because I don't like feeling this disheartened about our government, but I do, and I've given up on them. I just don't trust them. I don't have any faith in them. I don't believe that there's anything that they can do that is going to restore a good, decent, constitutional, freedom-loving America again. It's just like, that's out the window. It's gone. So now I'm operating in a system that is completely foreign to freedom. I mean, it's just like, this isn't right. So people are like, well, you got to vote for the right person. And I'm like, for what? To exist in a country that isn't right to begin with? Like, okay, go ahead. Pick those leaders I'm supposed to choose from again. Go ahead and pick them out and present them to me. Which one is it? You guys are both down for central banking? Yeah, I figured as much. Okay, I don't care. Either one of you guys will do. Because at this point, I'm going to have to figure out whatever it is I need to do for myself, because you obviously do not have my best intentions in mind. Or the best intentions for me in mind, I guess that's what I should say. Living in progressive Portland, Oregon, voting for Jesus Christ, 2024. Oh, there you go, man. What is your take on... hold on. I'll talk about that later. Okay, what is your take on one of the longest yield curve inversions in history? Are the authoritarians right? Has it become meaningless metric? I believe it has, hacker. I believe it has. I believe that the quantitative easing and the massive expansion of balance sheet in the essentially yield curve control that they done with it has really obscured the inverted yield curve indication. I think that's no longer an effective tool for really predicting the recessions or downturns or anything like that. With that being said, I think it's okay. I just don't think it's as good as it once was. So I think it's a good thing to observe and watch, but to like have the faithful belief in it any longer is very difficult for me to wrap my mind around now, considering some of the changes that have now happened with our monetary system. It's no longer about interest rates. And that's what's scary about the whole thing, is that you look at like these indicators where they're like, well, the yield curve and the interest rates, and if they were, and it's just like, to me, I'm thinking, okay, step it back a minute, because it's not about the interest rates. It's about the communication of it, right? See, that's important to remember, that the interest rates in what they are doing has less impact on the economy now than the belief of what it is. That does have a major impact on it. So this is important to remember, because people are looking at that and have beliefs about that. But my view of it is like, okay, it's not so much about that, but what is the people gonna think about that? Because that's gonna have the impact on the economy, not necessarily the changes in the interest rates, right? Which is really weird. Okay. Now, with that being said, I've kind of given up on that down on the 10-year, 2-year inverted yield curve indication. So basically, when the 2-year is paying more than a 10-year, which is typically incorrect. Normally it's the other way around. Just like any mortgage or any car loan or anything else, if you have a short-term debt, you're going to pay a lesser interest rate than if you have a long-term debt. The longer the term debt, the higher the interest rate is. Well, the bond yield curve is very much the same way. So on the short term, generally you would have lesser yield on the short term treasuries. And then as you go out to the 30-year, it would be like, that would be the longest or the highest yield is out there on the 30-year. The inversion takes place is that you have issues where investors, like typically the inverted yield curve would be a sign that investors are very nervous about the current situation, and that they are demanding a higher return for their cash, right? They don't want to give up their cash right now, because they view that the short-term issues that are happening is going to provide them with a better buying opportunity. They do not want to tie that cash up unless they get rewarded for it, and that reward comes with a higher yield. So you'll find the yield start to rise on the 10 or on the short-term treasuries, as the investor is not wanting to tie that money up in the short term, so the price on those bonds fall and the yields rise. That is usually like the signs of bad times coming, because this is the market saying, hey, I don't like what's going on right now. And it shows within that yield curve. However, when you have balance sheet unwinding taking place, or balance sheet expansion, where there's quantitative easing or quantitative tightening, this is obscurities taking place within the market. This isn't the market necessarily presenting itself in an, for lack of a better term, manipulated fashion, right? So if the Federal Reserve wasn't either buying or selling or getting rid of their treasuries or loading up on treasuries, that obscurity that is now taking place in the market, that wouldn't be there, and therefore you could truly see what it is that the market has intended for their expectations going into the future. Does all that kind of make sense? I don't know. I kind of babbled there a little bit, but I think I got it out there correctly. More importantly, let's just wind this up. More importantly, listening to Alan Greenspan, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, somebody asked him that very question: what do you think about the 2-year, 10-year inversion? And he says, although I find that to be a very good recession indicator, what he likes to look at is the spread between the 5-year and 30-year. When the spread between the 5-year and 30-year starts to widen, that is an indication of corporate management's willingness to invest, and is a good, very good indication of good economic times. So that's Alan Greenspan. That's my idea of the inverted yield curve and what can come from it. Generally, it's when the yield curve uninverts and goes back to like a steepening yield curve, where the short-term interest rates are, or the yield is down and the long-term is high. And once the inverted yield curve reinverts and goes back to a steepening over the timeline, that's usually when the recession kicks in, right? So it's after the inversion. It's like the inverted yield curve is the indication that it's coming. When it uninverts, usually that's when you see the recession kick in. All right, cruising down. So let's see here. So do you think we are going to be like Japan, stagflation for 20 to 30 years? I don't. I don't think that the world reserve currency is going to allow for there to be like a stagflationary period. The demand for dollars is only going to grow more intense as we go into the future. You can already see, like, people thought that, the dollar was done and everybody was getting out of it and that there was no more dollar. And you can see, like, from the video that we did not yesterday, the day before, that the US Treasury holding by foreign, like the foreign holdings of US Treasury debt is at a record high right now. They're not getting out of the debt. This is why I have like I've been trying to explain it so many times. The BRICS nations are not taking over. There's no like failure of the dollar. The dollar is strong. The dollar is going to continue to grow strong going into the future because the amount of dollar denominated debt that exists in the world denies the capability of there to be a falling dollar, right? They need to pay those debts off. Like after, like once, here's the thing, like if you, once you see it, once you recognize that all these contracts need to be paid off and that in order to pay those contracts off, you need to get a hold of the dollars. By getting the hold of the dollars and paying those contracts off, what you have done is you have taken dollar denominated debt and you have made it disappear. The problem with making dollar denominated debt disappear is that dollar denominated debt is being used to do dollar transactions out there in the globe. So US treasuries get used almost like cash. So when there is a trade between two nations, if one nation wants to sell another one, their commodity, they're generally doing it in US dollars, but more specifically, they're doing it with US treasuries because US treasuries are almost as good as dollars. They're very liquidable. So like if you want to get cash to pay your debt, you can sell a treasury right now in order to get the dollars to pay that debt. That is very important to understand. So when nations are selling their treasuries, they are probably trying to pay their dollar denominated debt, and by selling treasuries, they have access to cash. Now, when a nation does do a deal with another nation and they write a contract out that says, hey, I promise to pay you $100 US cash, over a certain amount of time, and that contract goes out there, that then can be used for cash. It doesn't necessarily mean that the people are accepting it or that it has the standing of being a liquidable asset like the US Treasury does, but it still serves a purpose for doing transactions if if the parties are trusting of it. So like how much dollar denominated debt and transactions exist in the world, it's freaking overwhelming. There is no nation in the world that could even remotely come close to doing what it is that the United States is doing with the US treasuries and with the debt issuance and the fiat currency, by going into as much trade deficit by buying stuff and exporting dollars. That is so standalone for the United States. There's nothing else out there that can do it. So when the things start stepping up that can replace it, I'll hope to recognize it and see it, right? But I don't know where that would be. People say Bitcoin or gold or all these other things, and I'm like, you got to understand Gresham's law. You got to understand Triffin's dilemma. You got to understand Cantillon effect. Once you have put those three, bullwhip effect even in there, once you have understood all those four economic theories, internalized them, you'll look at that and say, yeah, Bitcoin won't work. That's why gold didn't work. This is why the fiat currency, if it doesn't continue, we are all falling into some serious pain and misery. And at some point we will. I just don't know when. Uh, who will fix anything? Nothing. Nobody will fix anything. Who will win the election come down to the best hairdo. Oh, that's how I'm voting. Oh, dude, thank you. I just figured out how it is, and I'm gonna vote now. It's gonna be off the best hairdo. Thank you. I've been trying to figure out what it was. I was on the fence this whole time. I got it. All right. Whoever maintains the best hairstyle through this, they get my vote. Um, buy silver ounce yeah, I mean, this is really the only way you can ever get yourself out if you want to protect yourself. See, there's an insurance policy that you can get, and it's called silver, right? If you were to get silver and gold, precious metals, it is the insurance policy outside of that third party claim. Not even Bitcoin can hold it. Bitcoin does on a lesser extent, and it does have its purposes, and you know, you guys have heard me talk about Bitcoin. I'm cool with Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. I buy Bitcoin. I hold Bitcoin. Right? Total hodler. However, even with Bitcoin, you have to have an on and off ramp, meaning that unless you like have an app on your phone or something like that. I mean, maybe if you had access to the internet and you had a computer and you know you had the Bitcoin wallet on there, but ultimately you're still so reliant on the third party for the communication lines, for the phone itself, for all that other stuff. Like gold and silver stands alone outside of any third party claim whatsoever. Like none. Zero. In your hand, your protection, your asset, right? It's your insurance policy away from that third party claim. See, a lot of people look at it and they say, "Hey, how do I use this to get rich?" And it's like, "No, you're using it to get away from those people. That's what you're using it for. You're not trying to use it to get rich. You're trying to use it to get away from those people out there because those are the people who are separating themselves from you. And if they screw that up, you're going to need something to protect yourself, and that's the silver and gold because that's how screwed up this whole thing is. It's like it's not meant for you to get rich off of, it's meant for you to insure yourself against those guys who are screwing it up with this fiat currency system. Right? Now, is that a screw up? Yeah, for most people it probably is. For me, it's just the situation that we're in. I know to, you know, stack up on my insurance policy as often as I can and to try and participate in that system to best prosper for me and my family. Like I tried to get out of it for the longest time. You know what it does to your life? You live a very low meager life without much in it, right? It's not much fun. So I don't like it. It's not for me to like or not like. It's for me to understand, recognize, and do something about it. Like I can say, "Hey, man, I'm out here in a sinking boat and I don't like it." Yeah, I bet you don't. You know, I bet you don't like it. You know? But what are you gonna do? You're gonna have to bail it out, and you're gonna have to figure out how to get back to shore if you want to survive. You can figure out who to blame later, but at this point, there's no point in blaming anybody because blaming people doesn't do anything to fix the problem that you're facing. You need to fix your own economy. You need to figure out what it is that needs to happen in order to deal with the situation at hand because there's no changing it. Uh, Gold didn't work. It didn't work. If it worked, it would have stuck around, right? But the problem with gold is, and if you understand it from the Cantillon Effect, is that there's going to be business cycles that absolutely devastates the people. And unless you are prepared during the good times, saving and holding on to deal with the bad times, you're going to face situations in which that there is going to be poverty and misery that come from it. The United States was going to face that in the 70s. We were going to relinquish our gold back out there to the rest of the world, and we were going to face poverty and misery until we had figured it out to become an industrious people again, which meant that we were probably going to have a generation or two that weren't going to be able to buy a house with a single income. That was going to be much less than that. It was going to be living in commune type environments because the ability to provide for a family just wasn't going to be there. It was going to have to take village type attitudes, right? Literally going back to like primitive state. Reestablish it, become an industrious people again, become producers and savers, and then you might be able to start raising your standard of living again. All that would not happen in a matter of a year or two. That would literally take generations. And people would feel pain and misery and be very upset about the whole thing the whole time. Undeveloped space is still living. Most of the cryptos are with the World Economic Forum, like Polygon, for example, Matic. You can Google it up. That does not mean it's bad, but that is where the rich will park their money. They have it all right. 0.1%, 0.01%. Luck is reality. Even crypto is built on BTC and the World Economic Forum. The mark of the beast is coming. Alright. I type in silver cheapest price per ounce into Google and buy stuff closer to spot. There you go. Let's see here. Let me cruise up. The markets are rigged on 4-year cycles. By near the end of the year one, endure the bear market, then sell near the end of the year 4 in the bull run. Are there any cool silver or gold coins you don't own that you would like to add to your collection? Yeah, there's some government issued stuff out there that I thought was pretty cool that some of the Philharmonic stuffs, I don't have like a whole lot of that kind of thing going on. Just to have the pieces to the collection. But really, I don't collect for that purpose, like the rarity of the coins or the uniqueness of the coins. I have some stuff that I thought was pretty cool that some viewers have sent me, and with that, it's just like it's given me like a little bit of like, oh wow, that is cool, right, kind of thing. But I never went into silver with that kind of attitude. To me, it was more about how many ounces do I have, because if there ever came time to unload it, if there was ever a need, I don't want to have like a sentimental value towards something going, oh, wow, man, that's so cool. Because now I have all these pieces that viewers have sent me that I would feel terrible about, like to, like, unload these things and think, oh, man, But, but I think like some of the cooler like government issued stuff that has come out is pretty cool. Some of the Australian coins that I haven't collected a whole lot of those yet. Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess I should think about it a little bit. I'm trying to think of what it is that I've like had in my collection that I maybe have gotten rid of or something, which I can't really think of a whole lot because I haven't gotten rid of a whole lot of silver. Um, I really dig the Monarch or the Monarch precious metals. There's regular bullion, but they do some pretty unique pours. A lot of them are like hand looking pours, so it's like it's like very old looking, like if somebody had like poured it out onto, into like, a sand mold or something like that. So those are kind of neat. Some of them are like these sugar skulls, like these Day of the Dead skulls, and those are pretty cool designs. I liked buying those and giving them away for gifts. If you take the mark of the beast when it comes, this will definitively mean that you have chosen to serve evil demon himself and have rejected your creator. As a result, you will go where your the Fed biometric butthole coin. All right, remember the first job as a kid? You just went to the local factory or gas station and they hired you on the spot. How does a beginner get involved with buying gold and silver without being scammed? Can you give direction on the best way to start? Bought some silver through my bank, but they are so expensive. Yeah, I wouldn't go there. It depends, I guess, on what country you live in. If you're living in the United States, I personally would go down to your local coin shop. Like, go to your local coin dealer, even pawn shop. Pawn shop might not be too bad because a lot of pawn shops are coin dealers. Maybe your jeweler. Some jewelers are also will deal in like silver coins, silver and gold coins. But I would start with the coin shop. Like if you can find a local coin dealer, um, then that's where I would start. Uh, Go down, buy one piece of generic bullion, or maybe like a silver eagle or something. Try not to spend much more than a few dollars over spot price. Like it really depends on what piece you end up going for, but most likely if it's like a bullion, generic bullion, don't spend more than a few dollars over spot price on it if you can. Um, some of them will try and trick you and say, "Oh, this particular year or something like that." Yeah, it might be the case, and they may not be wrong. But for your first coins, until you actually understand what's going on, don't fall for any like, hey, this is a particular coin that you would want to have a little bit higher premium pay for it. Don't go for that. You're gonna have bullion, like your generic bullion, and then you're gonna have like a government issue, something like a Canadian Maple Leaf or Mexican Libertad or American Silver Eagle or the Philharmonic or something of that nature. There's gonna be like a government issue type of coin. Those ones hold a little bit higher premium than your generic bullion that comes from, say, something like the Sunshine Mint, right? So the Sunshine Mint will have a lesser premium to it. You'll also, when you go to sell it, also get a little lesser than spot price for it than if you had the government issue. So there's a little bit of premium difference in it. But ultimately, if you go down and get one of those pieces, right, go down, look at the spot price. If it's $30, just know in your head you're not going to spend more than 35, and go down and try and find an ounce of silver. And just say, I'm going to be paying between $30 and $35 an ounce for this thing if it's like spot prices at 30. And even if it's a high premium that you paid on that first piece, don't stress it. It's just a few dollars, right? The point being is that once you get that first piece in your hand and you look at it and you hold it and you feel it, there will be energy that then is transmitted into you and you will want to get more. And naturally, the vibration that you carry from having this thing in your hand and feeling the energy of it, you will actually start to see where silver opportunity starts to present itself to you. You will find people who actually have silver that you didn't know had silver that would be willing to sell it to you for, for whatever, for a cheaper price. Maybe you'll start finding silver jewelry, at the yard sales or something of that nature. You will start finding that the silver is actually coming to you, but you have to put out the energy for it first. And usually that means just acquiring at least one piece. So that's the way I would start if I were you, and then from that point on, you'll probably just pick up the bug and just, you know, start picking up pieces, every week or every other week, just doing it just like that, throwing one or two pieces of bullion in your stack. And then next thing you know, you have quite a bit of them and you've learned a lot about silver because you're searching the different websites and you're going to AppMax and you're going to SD Bullion, you're going to Monarch Precious Metals, you're going to all the different places. Not that that was advertisements for any of those. I'm just saying those are just, different places that you could go. What time is it? We're an hour into this. All right. I kind of forgot to check the whole. Did we even make it on the thumbs up? I kind of forgot about it. I got stuck in story. All right, Catherine. ETH is cooked. If it's a Swiss Army knife, it's one that's glued shut. Be jamming. If you're going to suck, the best way to suck is up. Yeah. Economy does suck. It sucks upward. I used to buy weed off a guy that bought junk gold and smelted it himself. A lot of sheep will spend every cent of their paycheck at sports bars or overpriced trucks or toys and then complain they have no money. Yeah. But that's just just the case. That's just the way human nature is. I'm homeless. This is killing me. I got run over, broken hip, excessive toxic air pollution, malnutrition. This is hell. Damn, Ross. All right, Simon, do you have any intuition on whether they will try to roll out a CBDC? I don't think so, Brody. I mean, you've kind of heard me talk about this one before, right? I do not believe that they're going to roll out a central bank digital currency. I think that the Federal Reserve is very much in line with the belief and with it this is going to be part of the Treasury, but I believe it's going to be more about stable coins. I think stable coins is going to be the central bank digital currencies. Like the Federal Reserve, I don't think really truly wants to have a central bank digital currency because they really don't have the authority for a central bank digital currency. See, this is what a lot of people don't realize is that they would actually have to change the Federal Reserve charter in order for central bank digital currency to exist because the Federal Reserve cannot inject money directly into the system. That is illegal, right? They cannot do that. And so a lot of people say, well, they do it all the time. They don't, right? What they do is they end up injecting money through the big banks. Now, the big banks go and buy the treasuries. The Federal Reserve buys the treasuries from the big banks. Now, is this monetizing the debt? Sure, of course it's monetizing the debt, but the Federal Reserve can't directly go to the Treasury and buy that debt. They have to buy it from the big banks first. So everything that the Federal Reserve is buying is something that has already been purchased. So they're buying stuff off the market, not off of the Treasury itself. This is important to understand because when it comes to central bank digital currencies, how is it that they are going to inject that money directly into the people's wallets if they cannot take it from the Federal Reserve to those wallets? They have to route it through the big banks, through the Treasury, through this other system that they have out there. And that would mean a complete changing of the Federal Reserve's charter. However, if they just regulate the stable coins, back the stable coins with dollars and treasuries, now, the Federal Reserve can conduct their monetary policy like they always have with no changes to their charter, no changes to the laws or anything else. They continue to operate their monetary system the way they always have, and now it's the government and Congress, Treasury, who is in charge of regulating the stable coins. You see, like the central bank digital currency, like a Fed coin, is too cumbersome and too difficult to try and introduce into the economy without completely revamping and changing the Federal Reserve. Now, is that something that's possible? Absolutely, it's something that's possible. Are they going to do it? Probably not, because that's very difficult to do when you already have the opportunity to just use stablecoins instead. Right, and just regulate those. So that's the direction in which that I feel that the economy is going to be rolling towards, or at least what the Federal Reserve is going to be rolling towards. I think the view, like what people are going to be talking about and the idea of it and the discussions and even in the political arena, there's going to be all this communication about central bank digital currencies, while in the background they really set up and regulate the stable coins because nobody's really paying attention to that. Like, how many articles do you find out there, Federal Reserve, like, in Congress regulating stablecoins? How many news are? None. Like almost none. The only reason why I know about it is because they talk about it in their speeches. Right. Again, like this is how I know a lot of this stuff is because of the speeches that I read out there, and that in those speeches they communicate this stuff to the other central bankers that are out there, but they don't communicate that out there to the public. Instead, what they would rather do is scare the hell out of the public with the idea that they're going to use a central bank digital currency, and then with that fear and idea, they can manipulate the markets and manipulate the idea, while in the background they're actually setting up a stable coin regulated system that's already in operation. Like, that's what's funny about it. This is already occurring, right? They don't have to introduce it. It's happening. And most people are like, when is this going to take place? And I'm like, right now, yeah, it's happening. And so even like this guy saying, don't take the mark of the beast or whatever, hey man, I'm not trying to knock religion or anything else about it, but the thing is, everybody's already taking it. It's happening right now. All right, and so by the time you recognize it, you will have already been marked. It'll be over, and everybody will turn around and go like, oh shoot, what should we do about it? And be like, your time to do something about it was a long time ago. All right, central bank digital currencies would track graph. Politicians need alternative currencies. Kamel Whitmore ticket and can blame Xism on Trump winning. They kill the eggheads behind BTCC. Let's see here. Biden just stepped down. Did he? Did he really? Oh man, that's gonna be some news. Did he really, or are you just saying that, Brian? Because I know there's news that comes up that I just miss sometimes, but I think I was probably more interested in when Jake Paul's going to be fighting Mike Tyson than I was about whether or not Biden was going to step down. But that's pretty big news, man. I mean, but does anybody know when Mike Tyson is fighting Paul? I mean, did Biden actually step down? Yes, he did. Wow. Oh my gosh, Brody, that is credible. Man, I should be going reading about that. Late to the party, UE. Hey, I'm late to the party too. I just found out Biden stepped down. Man, that's exciting stuff. Man, the Democrats have no chance of winning this. There's no chance. All right. Let's see here. Bitcoin would be the last domino to fall, if ever. I just don't see how Bitcoin can fall. I mean, it's like I see how the price might, fluctuate and go all over the place, but actual Bitcoin failure, I don't see how that can happen. The Bitcoin protocol will continue to work. The transactions will always happen. I mean, I don't see how that will ever change. Now, whether or not it's a viable currency that people are using or willing to pay a lot of money for, that might be very questionable in the long run. But as far as its existence and whether or not there's going to be transactions taking place, I have very little doubt in my mind that that will continue forever, right? So long as there's an internet. All right. Still, we serve as president for the rest of his term. Oh, does he? Oh, well, I don't know. I don't think he really does that much anyway, so I guess it doesn't make any difference. Did you ever watch her speak? Who? Kamala? No. Alright, November is going to be a grab popcorn and watch. Yeah, it's going to be incredible. Yeah, he's out. Announced it about an hour ago. Wow, just as I was starting this live stream, then I guess, huh? Tyson Paul keeps getting moved back. Now November. Man. I I mean, I have always been a fan of Mike Tyson. My entire life, I have thought Mike Tyson was a badass boxer, just, incredible in the sport. All right, what do you mean, Simon? Don't you have any faith in Kamala? No. All right, The Rock may be in the running for the Dems. Really? Well, that'd be cool. Biden is staying in until January. Yeah, I hear that. I remember when gold cost as much as an ounce of weed. Yeah, that was back in like the 90s, like the early 90s. I remember that too. In fact, there was a guy I know who would sell his weed by the going price of gold. Like whatever an ounce of gold was selling for, that's what he would sell his weed for. All right. She's cool with me. That's fine. I mean, hey, pick your winners. Pick your winners and. Uh, um. All right, the Dem convention will be interesting. Jake Paul just needs to fall. Did I say that out loud? All right. Did you guys see what Mike did to Trump's ear? It makes no sense to risk head injuries in the 50s, even though Paul is truly just an average rookie fighter. I agree, real life finance. I mean, like, I agree that, it's not a sport in which that you want to keep going at. Like, I mean, Muhammad Ali had proved that, like, he shouldn't have been boxing at the end of his career there because it just really messed him up towards the end. He was already pretty well messed up. And so, like, you take your wins and you know, when it's over, just admit that it's it, right? It's over. However, watching Tyson train, like in the videos that he has, and knowing that, like, Paul is sensationalizing the sport, although he seems to be doing pretty well. Like, I mean, even like a lot of the professional boxers out there are saying, the guy's come a long way for not like just deciding one day he's just going to box, right? Didn't actually like, was an athletic boxer to begin with when he was, just like all of a sudden he's just going to be a professional boxer. It's not like necessarily something that people do. So he did get a lot of respect coming from that direction that, hey, at least he's trying hard, he's taking on the skills, he's, getting better at it, he's just like, he's, trying to do the thing. However, I want to see Tyson go in there and with the intent to prove to Paul, right, that the respect for the sport is more than just sensationalizing it for attention, right? Like, I mean, this is a legitimate sport that should be respected out there. There's a lot of guys out there who have, dedicated their life to this thing and even given their life to it. And so I'm not saying that Paul can't do that too, What I'm saying is that if Tyson can go in there and teach him the lesson, or if he can prove himself against Tyson, all right, I think either way, Paul's going to come out of it in the better for it, especially if he wants to continue on with this career. So, and I really hope Tyson whoops the shit out of him. Like, I think that that would just be an excellent thing to view. He got into personal development and spiritual stuff for sure. Did he trip out on DMT or shrooms, I wonder? Yeah. It's called Cannabis U Squares. Paul won't win. Yeah, if Jake is serious about the craft, then more power to him. That's right. And that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, I mean, to step up against, like, I don't care if Mike Tyson's 50 years old. This is Mike Tyson we're talking about, yeah? I mean, this is like, I mean, he's a badass. Like, I don't care. I don't care who, you know. So to go in there and at least even step into the ring with a 50-year-old Mike Tyson is proving a lot that you would even go that far to do that. If he can hold his own up in there, hell, he might. I mean, even if he gets his ass whooped, he will gain my respect if he can hold his own against Mike Tyson. This is an awesome event. Right? So, and I hope Paul comes out, not only, learning the lessons, but with some major growth in his career for it. UE, great advice on buying silver at the local coin stores, yeah. I did this with 5 shops around the Pacific Northwest. Buy $30 to $100 every month. They remember you and then make you deals and help you achieve. That's right. Absolutely, they do. I mean, even when you're on vacation or something like that, just go check out the local dealers, and just go and just talk them up and say, hey, you got any, whatever, Silver Eagles, looking for a particular year just for fun, and just talk about it. See if you can chat them up in a conversation and see if they offer you anything. Yeah. All right. They know exactly what they are doing. People will bet on Paul because of the recent win. Hope Tyson wins and celebrates with the bookies. Agreed. Jake has brought a lot of excrement to young excitement, I think, to the younger crowd. The real Tyson would knock his block off. Must be silly. He's 58. Is that what he is? I knew he was older. I mean, I'm almost 50, so I knew he was older than me. Alright. Alrighty, guys. Are we calling it quits? We're at an hour and 12 minutes into this. It was a good stream, I thought. A lot of fun talking about some of these things. But, understanding it for yourself, right? That's what the whole point of the video was. Understanding, like, what's going on out there is, I mean, we can throw blame around. We can tell people that, it's this guy's fault or they need to change these situations. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves and what it is that we do with our economic outcomes. It's all on us. There's nobody else who can make the decisions for us but ourselves, and we need to position ourselves in accordance to what we see going on within the environment. And this is what this channel is all about, is to observe what it is that's happening out there and knowing that we need to make these decisions for ourselves, that there's nobody else coming to help. And by understanding monetary policy, by recognizing the 4 economic theories, Cantillon's essay, great book. If you want, there's a link down in the description to an Amazon affiliate link. You can buy this book. Just go and follow that. You don't have to buy the book. You can get it for free at the Mises Institute. So just type in Cantillon essay on economic theory right there, and it will pop up on the Google search or whatever over at the Mises Institute. You can go and get it for free. And if you do happen to follow the Amazon affiliate link, anything that you put in your cart for the next 24 hours, I will also get a little commission from. So you don't have to buy the book. Just go buy whatever you want from Amazon. Just go and click on that affiliate link first, and then drop whatever you want into the basket, and anything you purchased or anything you put in the cart for the next 24 hours and purchase within 30 days, I will get a commission for that. So fill that cart up and just buy whatever you normally would. You should give sessions on how to stay away from the pitfalls of buying silver and gold. I will join that group. You know what I was thinking is starting, and maybe we might try it on the members only at first. We'll try some member only broadcasts where I will set it up that we can actually bring the viewers in to do the live discussion. So like, we can actually have live on the air Q&A with the viewers themselves. They can I'll just post the link there and the viewers can jump in. I'll let them into the chat, and then we can do like basically a face-to-face, only digitally, right? Discussion live. I think that would be a lot of fun. So see how that one works out. And again, we'll probably try that on a little bit smaller scale. So I'll try it with like the members only. And if it works out pretty well, maybe I'll set up another member only chat type of level or something like that. And that will be the uniqueness of that particular level, is that it will be people who can join in and have a live discussion with me, personally. So, and I think that would be a lot of fun. So. All right, let's cruise back up here. In a real downturn, cash tends to be king, but timing the market or trying to predict some collapse is a bad idea. I agree. It's better to just have it on hand and have buying opportunity present itself to you when it's there. But, you know, sitting on a lot of cash can also, get lost to purchasing power. Thank you, Jeff. Good talk. It helps me to share it, and hopefully others can avoid being in the situation. Keep listening to Nightingale stuff, but more importantly, act on it. Yeah, Nightingale's good stuff there. Get your money out of the bank while you can. Why? I mean, I understand, like, I mean, a lot of the ideas of get your money out of the bank, but I hear so many people, like, I've seen so many YouTubers do it too. Like, they'll get a lot of views, 100,000 views. Get your money out of the bank today before it's too late. And I listen to them, and I'm thinking, you guys got a lot of good reasons why. Right? This makes a lot of sense on why it is that you should get your money out of the bank. However, if the Federal Reserve is aware of it too, and the government is aware of it, do you think they're just going to allow it to collapse? Like Silicon Valley Bank was a great example of it. People asked all the time, it was like, dude, are you going to get your money out of the bank before it collapses? There's liquidity issues happening within the banking system. They're gonna collapse. The banks are gonna collapse, right? And I'm thinking, well, probably be some liquidity issues as the interest rates rise and the asset prices fall and the balance sheets get all messed up. I could see that happening, but the Federal Reserve is aware of that. Like they know that they talked about it. So when people are saying you got to get your money out of the bank, and I'm like, do you think that the banks are going to fail and the Federal Reserve is aware of it? And people talk about like get your money out of the bank, like the Fed isn't doing anything. And I'm thinking, well, no, they haven't done anything yet because they haven't been, like, the trigger moment hasn't happened. Like, the collapse hasn't taken place. Soon as the collapse takes place, everybody points the finger and says, look, the banks are failing. Get your money out. See, you should have got your money out. And then the Federal Reserve steps up and says, oh, here, bank term funding program. By the way, we got plenty of liquidity for these banks. Everybody's got all their bank accounts. You're all safe. Every last one of you. We got a lifeboat for you. Now, is it safe to depend on that lifeboat? Hell no. It's not safe to depend on the lifeboat. But then again, it's not safe to really have your money in the banking system to begin with. However, if you're out there on the boat and you hear the captain say, yeah, we got these lifeboats here in case that we have that situation take place, and there's plenty of lifeboats and everybody will be safe, and we have plenty of more room. Right? And well, level of concern, not so much anymore. Right? Now, again, not safe, but they're aware of the problem. Well aware of it. Much different from what a lot of YouTubers are out there saying, get your money out of the bank. They're about ready to crash. They don't know what they're doing. No, they do know what they're doing. They don't talk about it because they can't until the situation has presented itself. And again, I'm not giving them a bunch of faith saying, hey, man, they're totally going to save the day and you're going to be totally fine with it. All I'm saying is, like, when everybody else was panicking and saying, get your money out of the bank before it crashes and all that other stuff, I'm like, you do realize the Fed's aware of this too, right? And I don't have that much money in the bank to begin with. So, no, I'm leaving my money right there because I got to pay bills next week. So, all right, would love a gold silver investing series. Interesting. Like, I'm not an investor though. I just buy for the insurance policy of it. Like, I mean, I guess one could buy some like mining stocks or something. I do own some miners, like some mining stock and stuff. All right, I keep my money spread between multiple banks and investments. I'm starting metal stacking soon. Yeah, I do too, Jeff. I have 4 different bank accounts. I have, stocks in 2 different, brokerage accounts. I have cryptocurrencies in 3 different wallets. I have silver spread out all over the place. Like, yeah, I stash stuff everywhere. Like, I have to think about it. Like, where the hell did I put all, some of the stuff? But yeah, I go all over the place with it. I don't put everything in one shot anymore. I had everything in silver at one time. I had everything in silver, my whole life, everything, every dime, just about in silver. And it was $50 an ounce at the time. It was 45 or something. And I thought, damn, I am the smartest person in the world. And then it trickled all the way down into the teens, and I still had every ounce, and I was like, no money. All the money that I had put into silver was like nowhere. It was gone. If I had sold the silver, it would have been gone. So it was very disappointing and heartbreaking to have that happen. I don't look at silver as an investment anymore. I just don't. It's not an investment to me. It's an insurance policy. That's all it'll ever be for me. It's the only thing that it's ever done for me is being an insurance policy. It's never protected me from inflation. It's never made me a bunch of money. It's never done any of that stuff, but it sure as hell saved my ass when I was broke, had no car, had no way to get to work, and my buddy had a Tahoe for sale, was willing to take 165 ounces and trade. And I thought that was the coolest thing that I'd ever. And I thought, I will never be without silver again. It is by far the safest place that you could ever park your wealth because it's outside of that third party claim and it gives you the ability to sleep at night. And at $30 an ounce, it is still significantly under its all time highs that were set back in the early 80s. So, really, if you're looking for things that are unloved, unappreciated, vital commodities that have proven the test of time, silver is it. There's literally nothing else out there. Like, literally nothing like silver. That's it. I hold USDC and cryptos only, send it to my bank as I need it so they can't borrow against my wallet. Yeah. I think silver is also pretty cool. Yeah, diamond to Fed chair. Oh, gosh, if that happens, guys. Actually, it doesn't matter. He's just a spokesperson, so it ain't gonna make any difference. But I would be very concerned about who it is that would start filling up the FOMC after that. If it's just Jamie Dimon, I mean, the chair is just a spokesperson. He doesn't have any kind of real power at the Federal Reserve other than his individual vote. He might have some influence in his, opinions and stuff like that. But I feel that really the New York Fed president has more, in my opinion, because he's been around longer even. I mean, in my opinion, John Williams has been speaking at the Federal Reserve and dealing with monetary policy in such a profound way, and nobody knows about that guy. Nobody talks about him. So, Jamie Dimon being up in there, I think, is a bad way to go about it, but really, I don't think it will make any difference, unless the entire FOMC starts heading in that kind of direction. They start getting all the voting members to be Jamie Dimon type people, then now we'll probably have some concern. It's amazing to think all elements heavier than iron came from big cosmic events such as supernovas. Everything on this planet was created inside of stars. To me, that's fascinating. Yeah, including us. All right? We're pieces of stars. We're a piece of a star. There we go. As long as I have my health, I can make a decent living with my hands. Don't worry, they have that in their plans. What makes a difference in the FOMC? Well, the FOMC is 12 voting members on monetary policy. So when monetary policy is voted on, whether or not they're going to raise or lower interest rates, it takes 12 people, 7. It takes 12 people to vote on that policy. The chairman is the spokesperson for the FOMC. So when somebody is coming out talking about monetary policy, it's going to be one person, the chairman. The chairman is the voice for the FOMC. So when they talk about monetary policy, they are speaking on behalf of the other 12 voting members, 5 alternates, and 2 advisors, right? So the FOMC, these 12 voting members, they alternate. They have these other, these 12 voting members, 5 alternates, 2 advisors. The 5 alternates will switch places, right? As far as, every, for the next meeting and the next voting rounds, they will switch places as scheduled. And those are the people who make up monetary policy. So it's really 19 individuals discussing and voting and creating monetary policy. 19 people. Jamie Dimon, if he was to be the chairman, would speak on behalf of that, right? And have his opinion and his voice with the other 18 people who are dealing with monetary policy. So when everybody gets all mad about Jerome Powell or gets upset about it or this other stuff, what they are doing is they're really blaming the messenger. They're not really like focusing in on the individual who is creating the situation or anything like that, because it's not an individual. You can't change an individual and then change the monetary policy. That's why I laughed so hard when Donald Trump was making such a big deal and noise out there about wanting to fire Jerome Powell. And I'm thinking, what difference does it make? Like, you're going to fire Jerome Powell, but it doesn't change anything except how it is communicated. That's it. That's the only thing that it would change, is the person's voice, right? Instead of being Jerome Powell's voice, it would be Jamie Dimon's voice. But the stuff that he would be speaking would be exactly the same. So when there's such adamant, I'm going to fire him, I got to figure out whether I can fire him, I should have never have hired him, he should be doing all this stuff. It's really just a bunch of flapping of the gums, because it doesn't do anything, right? It will not change the outcome at all. It'll change one vote, right? Which may influence the difference, or it may not, right? It may not make any difference at all, right? So that's important to understand. Like, anytime I ever said, well, Jamie Dimon shouldn't be there, and I'm like, okay, who should? Because it ain't gonna make any difference who is there. Do you just not like the communication, that you don't like the sound of Powell's voice or something? I mean, is that why you not want him there? Because that's the only difference. It would be a different sounding voice that would be communicating the information. That would change, but nothing else. UE, alternative possibility, Jamie Dimon as Secretary of the Treasury. Ugh. Either one of those. To put Jamie Dimon in any kind of, I could understand him being more in the Federal Reserve, because that's part of the banking system, right? So if you're moving from the big banks into the Federal Reserve, yeah, that kind of makes a lot of sense, right? But to move from the big banks to the Treasury Secretary, whoa, right? This is what they do, though. All the Treasury secretaries, all the Fed officials, all that other stuff, they all just float through the big banking systems, all these other people. And so that's how it's the oligarchy. Like, this isn't a constitutional republic. Right? This isn't a constitutional republic. The central banking system, the financial system, the congressional treasury system, they're all intertwined into the point that they're separated in the sense that like the Federal Reserve is independent, but they're all intertwined in the people who are operating the system, right? They switch places at these chairs, but they're all from the same group of individuals. Like that part doesn't change. All right. Correct. We have an oligarchy at the federal level and the state level. Your vote matters a bit more. No, it doesn't. Chessboards. Where I mean, okay, so I want that oligarchic out of that I want that dude over that dude, but they're both in the same. They're all part of the same group. What difference does it make? Like, what the difference that is made is the decisions that I make on accordance of all that. I certainly don't have any faith in them, right? uh, the Fed chairman doesn't really care. The Fed chairman doesn't really care what the president has to say. Ask Alan Greenspan. I agree with that. Alrighty, guys, should we call it quits? We're an hour and a half into it. I think that's probably good. We've talked a lot about this stuff. Breaking it all down, Hank Paulson went from CEO at Goldman Sachs, Goldman to Treasury. Yeah. Hello, uneducated economist. Thanks for everything. It's much appreciated. Yeah, you bet. I hope everybody takes a little something away from it. We all have to make our own decisions. We all have to look at things for ourselves. We all have to give it our own meaning. We have to figure out what it is that we need in our lives. And a lot of times, what it is that we are looking at and making decisions based on is from the meaning that we have given things. And I look out there at the economy and I think about some of the situations that a lot of people are facing and their hopes and wishes and dreams for a better environment or a better economy really comes down to the position that they have taken on it. If you figure it out for yourself, right, where it is that you need to be, you don't rely on somebody else. You don't rely on the fact that there is separation between the rich and the poor that makes it ever more difficult. You just see that it's taken place and know that those apartments are going to be $6,000-$7,000 and that it may not happen with your regular job anymore. You're going to have to team up. You're going to have to start businesses. You're going to have to do side hustles. You're going to have to figure out what it is that you need to do in order to make it in this world, because it's not the same world. It's constantly evolving and it's constantly changing, and recognizing the economic forces for what they are, the underlying economic forces, you will understand why it is that these things are happening, why that apartment is so much more expensive than it ever was in the past, why it is your job just doesn't cut it anymore, how come it is that you have to sleep in your car as opposed to, sleeping in a house. These things are going to occur and they're going to get worse as we go on, but it doesn't mean that you have to participate in the worseness of it. You can participate in the betterness of it if you just figure out what it is that you need to do to be on the other side of the wedge. Knowing there is nobody going to come and make the life better for you. You have to figure it out for yourself. You got to start those businesses. You got to get the rental incomes. You got to buy the dividend paying stocks. You got to do the stuff, right? And there's all kinds of things to do out there. That's what's really awesome about the economy nowadays, is that back in the day, you used to have to find all these jobs. You have to had, a part-time job, a full-time job. You had to go and trade your time for money. But now you got the ability to do DoorDash. You can just do it whenever you want, right? You can participate, anywhere at any time. You can do sales on the internet. You can make YouTube videos, create blogs. There's so many places to go to try and earn some money nowadays. I don't understand why more people aren't doing it. They would rather just do the 9 to 5 job and then complain why they can't afford the apartment, not realizing that there's an abundance of money out there to be had. All they have to do is just pretty much go out there and reach for it. I mean, it flies everywhere. Just go out there and grab it. But it takes time and effort and energy to do that. But you have to. You don't have any other choice. It's just the way it's going to be, or else you end up living in your car. Nobody wants to live in their car. All right. Thank you guys for listening. We had a great live stream today, hour and a half into it. And I think this was a wonderful topic to go over. I think that girl's TikTok video really tells a lot about how people are perceiving the economy nowadays and how they are missing it, how they misunderstand what it is that is truly taking place, and understanding the Cantillon Effect is like instrumental in figuring this stuff out. You do DoorDash, you're going to be living in your car. No, what I'm saying is you do DoorDash on top. My friend went down to California, and was doing like a seminar down there, rented a Mustang to travel around, did DoorDash during the downtime, and was able to earn enough to pay for the car while they were down there. So they went down there for work, had extra days while they were down there to deal with the seminar. While they were down there, earned enough doing DoorDash to pay for their transportation while they were down there. That is cool. That was so cool. They came back up and I was like, that is amazing. That was awesome. And they're like, yeah, it was pretty cool, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, you went down there thinking, man, you're going to have to fork out all this money for this rental car. No, they paid for the rental car while they were there, doing like just driving around, doing, I mean, they weren't doing anything anyway. So I thought that was just like absolutely brilliant to be able to do something like that. Go down there and boom, here you go. Let's go earn some money. Let's go earn some money. Come on. I mean, I love that. If you can figure out a way to go earn $1, get the internet to give you $1 somehow. That was my whole goal when I started YouTube. To earn money off of YouTube, I wanted to earn $100. That was it. That was my entire goal was $100, and the only reason why I had it as $100 is because that was the minimum threshold that you needed to achieve for Google to send you the money. So that was my goal. I was like, cool, I'm going to get to $100 and I want Google. I don't care if it takes me my entire life. My whole goal is to get Google to send me some money. That was it. That was my entire intention for everything. Right? Holy crap. Talk about, like, once you sit down that path, yeah, it was like $100. Oh, here, why don't you hear half thousands? It was like, whoa, what's going on here? So that's what I try to tell people. Don't worry about the money, like how much it is. Just go and try and make $1. Just try and make $2. Try and make $4. Try and make $8. Guess what's happening here? Right? Pretty soon you're going to be making some money at it, and you're like, wow, I'm so glad I started that, and it took me 2 years to build it up to this thing, but thank God I did it. Right? Maybe it'll take 20 years to get there. Who cares? If it takes you 20 years to build up a business or a system in which all of a sudden now you're getting paid thousands of dollars a month off of it, wouldn't you do it? Right? I mean, I wouldn't say like spend your entire life to try and do that, but if it was something that you were working on, like a hobby type business to try and develop, and you're putting effort towards that, and you were eventually able to build it up to something that was actually churning in thousands of dollars a month, wouldn't you start that? I mean, I would, I would start that, and I would start other things. And you never know how long it's going to take before you get there. When I started this channel, I never thought it would go to anything that I was going to get paid from. I didn't even have that to be like, that wasn't even a consideration. The $100, I was going to get that. I didn't know how long it was going to take. Once I got it, I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to do that again. Right? I remember the first time I made $10 on a video, and I was just like, whoa, holy moly. Like, I put out a video and I got paid $10 for it. If I put out a video like every day, that would be like, I could almost have like a car payment. Like I could pay the engine. Like, holy crap, that's amazing. Like, that's how I felt about it. I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like, I didn't think about it only being a $10 thing. Like now, I mean, I can get paid way more than that for a video if I, especially if it's a popular one. But at the time, it was such an amazing thing to have. Like, I never had that before. I never thought, man, I could just go out, make a video, post it, and I get paid. Wow. Right? That to me was more amazing than anything else, was just the fact that it could happen. All right. Listening at 2 times to catch up, he said nothing about vibrators, did he? I did not. All right. You'll be broke and care less. Oh, wait. That's what they want. They want everybody careless. Like, here's the thing, though. If somebody says you're going to be, like, you'll own nothing and be happy. And I thought to myself, I already own nothing. Like, what is it that I really own? This Explorer? Like some clothing, a little bit of material possessions? Like, I don't own anything. I have equity in a house. That's like, I mean, is that really ownership? I mean, not really. I'll never own the house. I mean, I'll always be, owing taxes and, insurance and all that other stuff on it. I mean, like, I don't own anything. Like, I even think about it. It was just like, if I was to gather up all my material possessions, I could probably put it, in the back of this car. Like, I don't have anything. And somebody was just like, so you're gonna own nothing and be happy. And I'm like, well, I already own nothing. Like, just be happy. How about, I mean, being happy would be nice. I mean, I don't think the World Economic Forum can create a situation that is going to provide for my happiness. I don't think that's the case. Own nothing and be happy? It's just like, yeah, why don't we just, like, let's not stress about the owning stuff. How about we just worry about being happy? Right? Because I already own nothing. It's like, that doesn't scare me. These people do not scare me. I am not scared of the New World Order. I am not. Like, that, like, my fear level of the New World Order is about as thick as the sole of my shoe here. I mean, I can care less about those people. you know? And just like you said, caring less is what they want, then so be it. I do. I can care less. They are not important in my life. They have no importance to me. You should be scared of demographic replacement. I'm not. I'm not scared of anything. You know why? It's because fear is the position in which that they want you to be in. Fear is an emotion of control and lack of ability to assemble, prosper, grow. Like, if you're in fear, you're stuck. You're stuck and idle, right? And that's the problem that most people have, is that they're in fear. They live in fear of everything. Fear of the government, fear of failure, fear of, like, unfaithful commitments. Like, they're in fear of everything out there. And because of that, they have a terrible time trying to grow, trying to get through things. It's just very difficult. President Joe Biden officially drops out of the race. Yeah, we were just talking about that, Randy. Isn't that credible? Crazy, right? Nah, it's not crazy. Most people probably expected it. All right. For the government, I mean, electric sharks coming. Ready to go flying cars, better wake up. All right. Excellent point, Simon. Fear is the emotion of control. It really is, Jeff. And so here's the thing. I should probably leave it because we're just rambling, I don't know. But here's the thing about fear, is that when you're in fear, what ends up happening is that the energy and the stuff that's going on in your body, it pushes out to your extremities, right? So you're in this fight or flight mode. You either need to run or throw down or, something. So you're in fight or flight, which means that the energy is out at the extremities and it's a very negative, right? So you're going to have this negative vibration that's going on when you're in a fear, and then negative and depressive things are going to start flowing back towards you, because that's the vibration and energy that you're carrying, right? So you get out of fear and you move more into peace and love, and center it into your core, right? So you pull that energy out of the extremities and you put it into your core, and you feel the emotion of love and contentment and, joy and stuff like that. This is the positive energy that then starts bringing the positive stuff back towards you, right? And this is where assembly and, like, networking and grouping and, communications and, the synergy starts to take place, is when you're in this sort of feeling and sort of realm, right? And you can find it happening when you got people who are excited about doing business together. You can see those businesses just flourish and grow. When people are living in fear, you have a lot of frustrations, you have a lot of arguments, you have, issues of not being able to be prosperous and growing and stuff like that. And it's literally because of the fear that you are feeling at the time. Like, the situation could be the exact same, no matter like the exact same situation, but because of the feeling and the meaning that you are giving it, you will end up with an outcome that is very negative, right? And it's literally like, again, I hate apples or I love apples. Which one is it? The meaning and the energy that you are putting into the item itself is literally from your own perception of it, right? Like I could hand this to somebody and they would be like, "Oh man, thank you so much. I'm so hungry. I've been dying for something. This is going to be the perfect little snack. I am so excited about having this, man." The meaning and the energy going into it is very positive and awesome. Somebody else is like, you hand them an apple and it's just like, "Man, I'm starving. What's this apple going to do? I can't stand apples. I'm going to eat this thing and I'm going to be more hungry. What good is it?" Right? There's nothing different. The apple didn't change. Right? The apple is just the apple. It's a neutral. It didn't do anything different from anything, but the meaning that went into it can be extremely different. And therefore, the energy that comes out of it, right, will be from the meaning that you have given it. I'm going to take it and I'm going to be nourished and happy and enjoying that I'm going to got this apple. Somebody else is going to get it and go like, "Man, this is useless to me." But the apple is the same. Greetings from Germany. I like your videos a lot. You send your positive energy around the globe with this video. Well, thank you very much, Denny. I appreciate you viewing from Germany too, and I appreciate everybody around the world who watches this channel. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, we're up to 142,000 subscribers now. I mean, 142,000 subs. I never in a million years did I even think I would have 142 subscribers, let alone 142,000. And it's just like, it's hard to even comprehend. Like, you know, people were like, "Man, that's so amazing." Some people have come to me and it's just like, "Man, I wish I could grow a channel to 100,000 people." And I'm thinking, what would you do with it? Why? And they're like, "Oh, I could have all this money and influence and sponsorships and all this other stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's the reason why you ain't got it. That's the reason why you want 100,000 viewers, man, or 100,000 subs. That's the problem, right? I want this channel to have a discussion about economics so that I can understand and learn more for myself so I can make the right decisions. I came out here on this channel using it as my own personal journal, sharing my ideas and thoughts with the people, and they were wanting to have a discussion with me about it. In between this, we were able to grow a channel. That was my intention. Like, I didn't have any intentions for making money. I didn't even have any intentions for growing the channel. Like, I didn't like, "Man, I'm gonna meet George Gammon someday and I'm gonna get up on stage and I'm gonna share my ideas with people and stuff like that." Like, that was never my thoughts. Never thought that was going to be the taking place. In fact, I didn't even think anything was taking place. I didn't know what was going to take place. I was just like, let's put out the next video. That's it. Let's put out the next video. And when somebody offers you to go do an interview, say yes. If somebody offers you to go to a speaking engagement, don't be fearful of that. Embrace the fear and move into it. And lean into tension, right? Lean into the fear. Lean into that stuff, because that's where the magic is found. People are like, "Man, how were you able to do it?" It was just like, I faced fears. I went towards fearful things. Like, if I was scared, I was like, "Yes, that's it. That's the stuff I'm looking for. The things that scare me. I want to move towards the things that scare me." Because that's where all the magic is found in that unknown. And that's the only thing that's fearful, is that it's unknown. You're not aware of it. Like, so everybody's always concerned about like not knowing what they're going to experience or what to expect. But then that's where the magic is found. Magic isn't found where you know. Like, if you know what's in the box, then there's no point in opening the box. But if you don't know what's in the box, and it could be something like dangerous in there, you don't know, man, what could be in there, right? I mean, it could hurt you, but then again, it could be a major reward going on in there. The magic is found once you open it, but you gotta have the courage to actually open the box and get in, right? And that's where I think most people end up getting hung up, is that they feel this anxiety start to build up and they're nervous and they're like, "Oh man, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't get out on stage. I can't make the video. I can't do it. Like, I can't share my thoughts and opinions. Somebody might ridicule me, And then not knowing that it's okay, right? It's okay to say stuff that people don't like. In fact, by saying stuff that people don't like, and if it's true and honest and authentic from your heart, they will appreciate and respect you more for it, even if they don't agree with you. The moment that you try to twist and turn and bend to trying to appease the audience or to try and influence or whatever, you're manipulating the world. You're a manipulator. Yeah? And that's why you're going to fail at what you're doing. It's better to just like, in to own your to 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 own your embarrassments, right? You're embarrassed. Like, I'm embarrassed about the way I read and stutter and talk sometimes. I get that. Like, I go and talk with and hang out with these high level rebel capitalist guys, and they all talk very eloquently and very proper and stuff like that. And I'm not, right? I don't talk like that. And sometimes I feel embarrassed. I feel like I'm like the stoned surfer from the Pacific Northwest who's out there like, hey, dude, what's going on? That's the way I feel I sound when I'm hanging out with these people. But what am I gonna do? I can't change it. It's just the way I do it. So now I have to just own it up and just go out there and just do my best I can, and not feel embarrassed by it, because I really don't. It's just the way it is. Understanding that. Right? That's the present. Like, you bring yourself to the world in that fashion, the world will come back in a way that you want to receive it. But the moment that you say, I need to conduct myself in a particular way, or if you, like I still have, a big ego that says the world needs to work in this particular fashion, you're going to find that that is a very manipulative stance, and you are going to be frustrated and not ending up in the position in which that you were hoping for. Right? It's literally letting go of all outcome out there, to have put attention to, pay attention to intention minus the importance of it. Right? To say, hey, I'm going to put out the best videos I can talking about economics, and regardless if anybody watches it, I don't care. I'm just going to go do the best I can. That's it. Right? You go out there and you do that, and I assure you, the universe will respect it and look at it. And especially if you're being useful and informative and helpful, you're providing the world with something, it'll come back. It can't help it. It's like the universe can't help but to start providing you with abundance for that effort. And that's the magic secret. If there is ever a magic secret out there, it's just literally the energy that you are feeling on the inside. And most people are feeling a fearful energy, which then limits their growth and limits them from being able to prosper out there. It's difficult because most people are constantly bombarding themselves with information, with bits of information that are filled with negative energy. And this is the thing, you can't help it. If you are in a presence of negative energy, you will not help but to absorb that negative energy, regardless of whether or not you try to say, hey, I'm not going to pay attention to that. That thing doesn't affect me. You can't help it. That energy is coming into your being, right? If you heard it, if you see it, if it's around you, it is now entering. What's up, bud? You want to go on? Yeah. It is now entering into your being. And so, like, even being in that sort of atmosphere, if you are there for 8 hours a day, you are going to take that with you, and it's going to be part of your being. So that's very important to understand. Like, a lot of times people are like, well, I don't take my work home with me. You can't help it. You can't help it. You are going to take, even if you say, I'm going to shut it out, I'm going to meditate before I walk through the door, all that other stuff, it's still inside you. Those bits of energy and those bits of information that you have been collecting all day, if they are filled with negative energies, right, then you will be carrying that within you. That's one of the reasons why it's very important to give meaning to the information that you are taking in, right? A lot of times when we take in information, especially when it comes to like this very high level, deep, very concerning stuff, we look at it and say, man, this is going to be very impactful on my life. This could very well destroy my being. This could very well hurt me. That's the meaning that you're giving it, right? And that's the problem with it is that you have given it this meaning. I look at a lot of this information and go, wow, this is really heavy. This is very difficult. This is hard for me to absorb and take in because of how deep and how concerning this stuff is. I must look at this information and then now realize that there's nothing I can do to change it. It's not a good or a bad thing. It's just an is, and I need to figure out what it is that I need to do to position myself on account of this information that I have just received. But if you take the information and go like, this is going to destroy everybody in the entire world. Yes, it will. All right? You're right. You're right. Especially your world, right? But yeah, it's going to destroy everybody's world because that's what's happening with it. But give it different meaning, give it different, if not only just give it different meaning, but then give it different reasons for it to be there. Right? Like, why is this here? Why am I dealing with this? Right? It's because this is a lesson in life that I am needing to learn in order to grow. Even if it's a bad deal that's happening to me, somebody's in your life who's giving you a hard time. This is a teacher. This is somebody who is teaching you right now. They are teaching you a lesson that you need to learn. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here dealing with it. Right? That's why they're a teacher. That's why they're there to teach you. No matter how the situation looks, right? No matter what it is that's going on. I mean, you can give it a meaning, this guy's a jerk or whatever. You can give it all whatever meaning you want, but ultimately they are there, right there, teaching you a lesson that you need to learn, and that's why they're there. Only way to make the country great again is the people need to come together and go against the government, we the people. Yeah, and I think really it comes down to, if you want to get together, just vote with your money. If you vote with your money, like get your money, like if there was ever an idea for getting your money out of the banking system, that would be the reason why. We pull our money out of the banking system, they'll start listening. They will listen. You start getting your money out of the banking system, you get it in silver and Bitcoin, and you take it completely out of their financial hands, I guarantee you they will listen. They will listen, right? But nobody's going to do that. Right? I mean, I got the majority of my stuff. Well, the majority is in the house, but that's that by luck, really. It wasn't by my choice. That's just like what the circumstances provided for me. But my choice, I had put most of my like wealth, so to speak, is in Bitcoin and in precious metals. It's outside of the third party claim. I do not trust them, not at all, not even a little bit. Right? But I got to prosper. I got to figure out how it is that I can advance myself within the system, and that means you got to participate within the system. At the same time, not trusting them. So by having cryptocurrencies, by having Bitcoin, by having precious metals, you are stepping away from that third party claim. Now you don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to screw things up, because you have the insurance policy that says if they screw things up, I'm okay, right? Or okay-ish, right? And then now it's just like, okay, so now that I got my safety device back here, my insurance, let's go off and let's go make some money. Let's go figure out how to manipulate our circumstances within this, within this economy to try and send money flowing back towards me. And that's really what it comes down to. To try and fix the system, ultimately you would have to not do that. You would have to say, I don't want to participate in dividend paying stocks or rental properties or bank loans or any of that stuff. I'm going to take it all out, put it into precious metals and Bitcoin, and watch the government crumble and weep under the pressure of it. Guys, I was supposed to quit a half an hour ago. You keep me going. All right, voice to speech shock. When I look at the world, I'm pessimistic, but when I look at people, I am optimistic. Carl Rogers. You're all starting to convince me to start putting money in Bitcoin. Jeff, if you do not have a little bit of Bitcoin, I encourage you to go get some. Like, go get $50 worth. It's very important to have some skin in the game so that you understand it. Like, I don't believe in metal ETFs, like silver ETFs or anything like that, but I own a little bit. Why? Because I like having skin in the game so that I better understand it. If you don't have it, if you've never tried it, then how can you knock it? If you are in position with it, you can say, no, I own some and it sucks, right? Or no, I own some and it's quite different. It's very different from what you are thinking, right? I mean, this is the point. I own treasuries, I own ETFs, I own the physical, I own Bitcoin, I own cash, I own money markets, I have all the stuff. There is no position in which that I haven't thrown a little bit of money towards. Because being in all those positions then gives me some more clarity into what it is to be in that position, even if it's significant or not. It doesn't at that point it doesn't matter, right? Having skin in the game is very important to understanding why things are occurring the way they are. All right, Simon, you're the best. Thank you. Well, thank you, Brody. Thank you, everybody, for being here. All right, I warn you, though, I am the kiss of death of for any investment. Jeff, dollar cost average. Do me a favor then, dollar cost average. That way, nobody knows exactly when you got in. So buy $50 a month or a week or whatever it is you need to do, $10 a week. Just dollar cost average. That way, you don't screw us up, right? You do it every single month, and then that way your investment screw up doesn't mess with mine, right? You're dollar cost averaging every single month in, because that's what I do, right? That's what I do, because my investments seem to go the other way as well. I've never really invested in a single shot. I've almost always, anything that I want to buy, I usually dollar cost average in. It takes me time to get into that position. And with that, I feel very comfortable buying into a lot of stuff. Like, I've invested a lot of money, but I don't remember ever investing a lot of money at once. Right? I just do a little bit every paycheck, or every time, I get a check from Google or something like that. I take a little bit out, put it in the savings, pay my bill, do all the stuff, and then boom, 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 pay off, buy a little bit of Bitcoin, buy a little silver, buy a little this, that, and the other thing, and it's usually not very much. And then over the years of doing that, I look back and I'm going, wow, I've done pretty well. Some of the stuff done really well. Like Coinbase just kicked it, man. I mean, I don't know exactly how much it was. I don't remember, but I did it over the course of a year. I bought Coinbase stock, right? And that stock, I kid you not, that is up, like, I think that position in my portfolio is up 250%. It's like absolutely phenomenal. I'm like, man, I wish I had dumped everything into that, but how do you know? So just by dollar cost averaging in, I know exactly, because I have it in the brokerage account, so I can see how much I've invested into it. But I don't remember ever really buying. Like, I remember consciously buying, but I don't remember like how much, like, it was like for me at the time. I think I just dropped $50 in, like, once a week or whatever I was doing for a while. And I didn't really think about the money. Like, once you do at the time, the moment that you drop it, you're like, oh God, I just spent $50 doing what? And then 2 days later, you don't even think about it anymore, right? Just like anything else, when you go and hang out at the bar, you leave the bar and you're like, man, I can't believe I dumped $100 at the bar last night. And then the next week, you're doing it again, right? It's just like you didn't learn your lesson. You just whatever, and you go on. And the money's gone, it's gone, and you don't think about it. All right. Should we call it quits, guys? I think we should. 2 hours into this, 235 likes with 141 people watching. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Got the links down in the description. Got the essay there, so you can go and check that out at the Mises Institute for free. Go and check out the affiliate link for Amazon to support the Uneducated Economist. Hit the like button to help the algorithm spread the video around some more. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.